Hi, Doc Marshall here. Welcome to my very first episode of the Dr. Marshall podcast. Before we get started, let me talk about just a few disclaimers. First of all, I'm a doctor of nothing. I'm not a trained medical professional. I'm not holding myself out as one. Just a nickname I picked up along the way among several others. Everything I have to offer is simply one man's opinion. I'm not looking to promote my truth. I'm trying to promote the truth by informing folks where to look for it. And finally, violence is not the answer to any of our political discord. I want to make that abundantly clear that I condemn all forms of violence, and that will not be part of what I intend to convey on my podcast. So, I wanted to focus today on perspective, and I wanted to do that by sharing my perspective. I was a product of the 70s and came out of college in the mid 80s and immediately got into the restaurant business. And there I learned to deal with the public of all sorts and shape, forms, or fashion in people that are upset to happy, and I felt that was a good experience and perspective. But past that, I became an insurance claims adjuster, and that may not sound as a very romantic occupation, but I can tell you that property and casualty claims touch so many other industries, the medical industry, the legal industry, the courts, the financial industries. So it is a great perspective to come from in terms of investigative knowledge. I spent my 30 years investigating insurance claims, mostly on a commercial basis, but that involved investigating questionable claims, fraudulent claims, and things like that. And so it provides me with a unique investigative experience and perspective. I also spent over 30 years in corporate America. And for those of you who have spent time in corporate America, you know what I'm talking about. It is a world unto itself that you get entrenched in over the years, and a lot like the politics in our nation, it's very difficult to separate initiatives and truths in a corporate setting, and it's even more so difficult today, seeing the political involvement of our corporate citizens. So I think that was a unique perspective. And finally, I've educated myself. I've spent the last 5 years engrossing myself in all of the political narratives that have been floating around, and I've tried to do so. I'm not going to make any bones about the fact that I lean right. I do lean right, but I'm an American first. And I don't really want to put together a platform where it's just more discourse of arguing about who believes what. I'd like to unearth the manner in which I determine what the truth is, how I investigate positions or information that I'm told to accept without question. I'm sorry, I question everything that I hear along those lines because it's been proven time and time again that there's always more than one agenda at work. So I think I bring a great perspective to really moderate a discussion of the various sticking points in my mind that we are up against in America today. But I think there's much more that unites us than divides us, and I think as we go through and talk about some of the things that are important to Americans, that you will see whether or not you come from a totally different political ideology, that there's some things that we can agree on. There's some things that we can all say that makes sense. we can also agree that when we see something that is egregious out of our political class, that we should all take note of that. We should all know what to do when we see something like that that is impactful to us, but we feel helpless to do anything about it. So, like this episode on perspective, the subsequent episodes that I do will be entitled and focused on one element of our discourse or our political discussions, whether it's hypocrisy, whether it's how to find the truth, whether it's to decipher falsehoods for what they really mean. But it is the job of every American now not to expect to be spoon-fed truthful information. You're just not going to get it. So I'd like to be part of the solution. I'd like to provide people with information that will not only inform them, but will provoke their thought, and it will provoke action in the form of really taking a harder look at the information that they're digesting. And just like food, is that information good for you? Is that information true and fuel for your soul? And if the answer to those questions are it's not, and it's toxic, we've seen that time and time again as well. And it's time that we wake up, and it's time that we take some action that's going to benefit us as citizens, but it's also going to benefit our government by the needed reforms and the things that as a people we're going to grow to want to see happen. That is my opinion, but I think that to be very true. There is so much going on that is going to impact our daily lives. That's why I started this blog, to talk about American culture. That, seemingly innocuous statement, American culture, is a loaded phrase these days because our culture is shifting more quickly than we can keep up with it. And I think that this is a great platform for me to bring my perspective to you and to gain your perspective. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to do is to be informed and know how to decipher information as we go forward into a completely 180-degree different administration that we're used to. That is definitely going to impact our way of life, because those people ran on an agenda of changing our lives. And so I want to make everybody aware of that, and let's find where the common ground is and hopefully diminish our differences. So thanks for joining me. I will be posting videos on my various social media platforms, but also on my main site, thedrmarshall.com.